The hill country was changed forever a year ago today when a fast-moving floodwaters overtook entire campsites and communities. For a year, we've shared their struggles, recovery, and honored those who lost their lives in the tragedy. We continue our live coverage tonight in Kerrville with KENS 5 anchor Henry Ramos.
Well, Alicia, good evening to you again. We're actually here at Flat Rock Park, and I don't know if you could hear right next to me, a lot of people still out here celebrating with fireworks as they go off. But really today has been a moment of celebration, especially as we are here into the night. But earlier on in the day, it's also been a chance for people to remember and to honor the lives. You know, today's really been a day of unity and community for people here in Kerr County to come together. And there's really been an array of events that started yesterday and through today. And Alicia, as you mentioned, we've been covering so many stories throughout this year. And we've been talking about a lot of heroes, and specifically here in Kerrville, there were heroes on that dark day a year ago. The Kerrville police officers who really answered the test of time. They drove, they ran in some cases and paddled toward the sound of danger, hoping to save lives. KENS 5 reporter Vanessa Croy has their story tonight.
As raging floodwaters tore through the city of Kerrville, police officers rushed into the danger, determined to get families out alive. And now, a year later, they tell us what resonates with them most now isn't their own acts of heroism, but the countless others who stepped in and answered the call for help. At first, it felt like another hill country storm.
In Kerrville, we have a lot of low water crossings. And so what we do is no matter what, we always go out and monitor those.
But in the early hours of July 4th, everything changed.
Dispatch is notifying us, hey, there's a critical incident starting to begin farther upriver.
Minutes later, Sergeant Benjamin Ledesma saw it.
And as I'm coming down the hill, I see the wave, a literal wave of water coming across this bridge. And to me, that was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be something that is, detrimental.
In that instant, the storm wasn't something to monitor any longer. It became a race against the water.
There really wasn't time to think about it. It was just go.
Officers scattered across the city, knocking on doors, trying to stay one step ahead of the rising floodwaters. Officer Brianna Henson was the only officer on her side of town, and one stop has stayed with her ever since.
They were telling me, we don't have a vehicle to get out. We have no way of leaving.
She asked nearby neighbors to help.
And when I went back to go and check on them, I couldn't get to them anymore because the water already rose over the roadway. So I couldn't get myself or my patrol vehicle or anything over to check and make sure that they got out. So that stuck with me.
As conditions across the city went from bad to catastrophic.
No one hesitated to get into that flood water to go in and rescue someone.
Every officer shared the same goal.
There was no time to think before waddling through neck-deep water. If there was somebody that we need to get out, we were going, and we were going to find a way to get them out, and we did just that.
But rescuing people meant more than getting them out of the water.
There was a lot of times where fear was absolutely consuming people. They don't need us to match their energy, we need them to match ours.
As the floodwaters receded, the rescues gave way to recovery. And for Sergeant Ledesma, a Kerrville native, that meant helping reunite families at the funeral home, where the tragedy became deeply personal.
You see these people every day in normal walks of life, at soccer games, at baseball games, you see them family functions, and then now you're here in like an out-of-the-world experience, or you're having an out-of-world experience because now this person isn't supposed to be in this place.
A year later, both officers say they remember more than what the flood took. They remember what it revealed.
The people that rose to the occasion, that came when they were asked, and even more importantly, when they weren't asked, that has always been a steady reminder of you know, the good side of humanity.
In the aftermath, Sergeant Ledesma says that's what gives him hope. Neighbors deciding someone else's life mattered just as much as their own. A community that chose each other.
One day you're going to be asked to do something that's very challenging. It's very hard. In the end, all we have is each other, and we have to take care of each other and continue to support each other. It's less about maybe what we've gone through, but more about how we overcome that.
And that was our Vanessa Croy reporting. As I mentioned, so many heroes out there. And, you know, also Sue Kalberg spoke with the Bernie Swift Water team. Incredible heroes there. They received the Texas Medal of Valor. If you want to catch all of these stories, again, you can watch our Hill Country Floods 1 Year Later special. It's streaming right now on KENS 5+. Before I wrap up my coverage here, there's a couple of things that I just want to leave you with. The first is that you continue to think about the people here in the Hill Country and in Kerr County. It's been a year, yes, but the people are still going through it here. As I mentioned, that rebuilding and that healing journey continues here, and people say they need all the prayers here. Also remind you that there are 2 people who are still unaccounted for. Think about those families. I'm talking about Jeff Ramsey, his family. His body still hasn't been found. And also little Seal Stewart. Think about her family because her body also hasn't been found. There's still search and rescue teams still looking, and they aren't giving up. But you also have to think about those families tonight. I'll leave you with this one story. I met with a woman earlier today who currently lives in Austin. She's from Kerrville. She said that she came out to the ceremony here at Flat Rock Park, and then she was at the concert where the governor was at, and that's where I met her. She told me that she drove up here today because this is her home. She has family here, but these are her neighbors, these are her loved ones. This is her hometown. And she wanted to be here today on this day a year later because she wanted to be comforted and she wanted to be there for her loved ones. And that's exactly what today was all about a year later. It was about that unity. It was about being together. Continue to pray for Kerr County. That wraps up my coverage here on day 2. We're live in Kerrville alongside photojournalist Gus Alonso. I'm Henry Ramos, KENS 5.